The Montero video released by Lil Nas X has caused quite a stir in evangelical Christianity. It has everything they seem to fear: a successful, black, gay man with sexual desires. In the beginning of the video, you will find Lil Nas flirting with the serpent in a Garden of Eden-like paradise. And by the end, Nas X gives Satan a lap dance in hell. His dance conquers Satan and Nas takes over hell. Yeah, there's a lot in there for them to hate. But what may be more shocking to them is the video contains a better understanding of the biblical story of fall and redemption than you will ever hear from most pulpits on any given Sunday. Now here you need to take a deep breath, open your heart, and be willing to let your preconceived notions be challenged. We need to start at the beginning. We need to start with an understanding of Satan and who Satan actually is in the Bible. As Christians, we believe that Jesus is God in the flesh, a personification of God, if you will. Because of this bedrock of our faith, we often insist on personifying evil as well. So we've taken the Hebrew word that's descriptive, Satan, and turned it into a proper noun. What is the accuser for the Jew has become evil incarnate for the Christian. We believe that if all that is love and all that is good is from God, then that which is evil and bad must naturally be placed into the character of Satan. This makes evil easier to bear. It others evil. The same is true with the New Testament. We've taken the Greek word diablos, turning it into the devil, and made him into the tempter and ruler over hell. But the Greek word is also just a descriptive term rather than a proper noun, and it means the slanderer. Now, it wasn't until post-biblical literature that people like Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, and Augustine would make the assumption that the snake in the Garden of Eden was Satan embodied as a serpent. The idea would get cemented into our popular culture, along with the view of what hell might look like, when John Milton's 17th century book, Paradise Lost, was published. So what we end up with is some horned human-like creature with a tail. And more importantly, we now have somebody to blame. Satan tempted me. The devil made me do it. It pretties up our own inner corruption. Accusation and slander now exist outside of ourselves. It becomes something that we have to avoid instead of something we must battle internally daily. But I hate to break it to you, Satan doesn't live in hell, he lives within your heart. And what is Satan's favorite temptation? Sex. Have you ever noticed it's always sex? Why? Because sex is powerful. It's why Christianity often fears it. Christians have this view of God as God the Father, but with no God the Mother, the children of God were created outside of sexual desire, making sexual desire ungodly and creating the notion that sex for any reason other than procreation should be forbidden. It's the things we're not supposed to think about that often seems the most alluring. Combine the allure of forbiddenness with natural desire and, well, you're on a spiral trip to shame. Because sexual desire is forbidden, we suddenly find sexual desire everywhere. We've even seemed to sexualize the story of Adam and Eve, making our own nudity shameful and sex for only procreative purposes only because it was a punishment for disobedience. With procreation then would come children, and children means family. So we've taken this great little story about being separated from love in paradise and we've turned it into a manual on what is the proper godly family. When coming up with such silly things as God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. In the story recorded in the first 2 chapters of Genesis, the serpent is the craftiest beast of the field, but nothing more. He serves as the antagonist for the purpose of relaying a story with a deeper meaning. And that story begins with a person that we call Adam, but the author of the book names Rudish because he was made from the clay of earth. In essence, he is dirt dude. Once again, we've taken this descriptive term and turned it into a proper noun. The same with Eve, whose name means to give life. Women get the better name in this story than the man does, and rightfully so. Now, they live together in a just and peaceful world, but the antagonist serpent comes along and tells them to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This forbidden fruit activated their ability to distinguish good from evil. Now, while love may say that knowledge of evil should be forbidden, their inner selves question. Adam and Eve wonder, will it really kill me? I mean, how bad can knowing evil really be? Just because I know something doesn't mean I have to consume it. They all rationalize in their minds as they consume the fruit and suddenly discover they are naked. Shamed, Adam and Eve run and hide. For the first time, they are introduced to evil, and it comes in the form of shame. Go back and read the story. Adam and Eve don't lose paradise because they disobeyed God. Let me say that again. The fall of Adam wasn't because of disobedience. It wasn't rule breaking that separated humanity from paradise. It was shame. Lil Nas X begins with him as an Adam figure in paradise. There he meets the serpent whose face of the serpent is Lil Nas's own, a reflection of himself. Walt Kelly's Pogo might say, "We have met the devil and he is us." Lil Nas X is tempted by his own desire to be authentic as a gay man. But to give in comes with an accusation. To bite of the fruit forbidden by religious institutions will cost him paradise. Shame will drive you into a closet and out of paradise. Lil Nas gives in, and he takes a bite, and in turn, he's kicked out of the garden. After being banished from the garden of life, we find him shackled inside the Colosseum with jeering crowds cheering on his torture, each person in the crowd a likeness of Nas himself. We all find ourselves trapped in colosseums of our own mind. Shackled by our shame, we replay the condemnation of others, and their voice becomes our own. The shame that drives us out of paradise tortures us until it finally kills all life inside of us. Killed in the Colosseum, Lil Nas finds himself being taken up into heaven, only to be snatched by Satan and dragged to hell. Shame will do that. It will torture you in the Colosseums of criticism and drag you through hell. There's only one way to escape shame, and that is with pride. Now I know you've been taught that pride is a deadly sin. You can thank Thomas Aquinas for that. He lists 7 deadly sins in his Summa Theologica, and pride tops the list at number 1. I'm even sure somebody at some point has quoted you the Proverbs 16:18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before the fall. The word pride here is the Hebrew word which means arrogance. This is an exaggerating of your own worth and sense of superiority. Oddly enough, this is the attitude many Christians have towards LGBT people. Redemptive pride, however, is more like the pride as Oxford Dictionary defines it, which is being conscious of one's own dignity. So, Lil Nas X embraces that which has ostracized him. He has become conscious of his human dignity and the desire that comes with being human. He takes on the accuser by giving Satan a lap dance in hell. That's pretty ballsy. I'm reminded of the story about Jesus getting his feet anointed by the woman. She does this audacious act right in front of the people who ridicule her. She's fearless in a frightful situation. She takes on the accuser and wins. And how does she do it? Because she doesn't give a damn. She lives her life authentically. Jesus tells her that her trauma has been redeemed by her pride. She has re-entered paradise, if you will. Her story is recorded in all 4 of the Gospels, and Jesus said that wherever the story of himself is told, so too will people tell the story of this woman. Jesus equates her own redemption from shame with his own redemption story just days before his execution. At Jesus' execution, he too takes on shame. The Apostle Paul writes in the letter to the Hebrews, Jesus, who for the sake of the joy that was set before him, endured the shame of the cross. Christian tradition even teaches that Jesus descends to hell after his death in an epic battle with this accuser. In the end, shame is conquered with a resurrection. And how was Jesus able to endure and overcome shame? I believe the Gospel of John shows us. Jesus repeats the phrase, I am, over and over in this Gospel. I am the bread of life. I am the vine. I am the light of the world. I am the resurrection. Jesus is secure in the knowledge of who he is. Popular culture and religion's rules cannot snatch away his dignity. He has pride, and that pride redeems us all. At the end of the video, Lil Nas embraces his worth and dignity with pride. The shame that drug him to hell now has to endure himself on full display as Nas embraces his sexuality. Lil Nas gives Big Satan a lap dance. Now remember, I said earlier that many Christians fear sex because of its power. And powerful it is, there's a reason why we call an orgasm means little death. Sex is so powerful, it has the power to bind Satan. The shame that was killing Nas is turned around to pride. And as a result, he captures the crown. He now is the ruler of hell. Instead of feigning some shock and spewing some disgust over the Montero video, Christians should study it. They may discover redemption from their own shame and come away with a better theology of God. This has been my salty take. If you want to see more saltiness, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Facebook at The Salty Pastor and read my blog at thesaltypastor.org. Until next time, stay salty.